tell us about this partnership. And I want you to kind of go into exactly what this means by expanding it for those who understand your world and maybe for those smart investors who don't totally understand it. Break it down for us.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Tim. Great to be with you. Yeah, our business in automotive has been on a tear over the last many years. We are going to exit FY26 at a $6 billion dollars of annualized revenue, which has grown up 8x over the last 6 years. The partnership with Stellantis is actually one of a kind. We've been building for the digital future of cars for a number of years, and physical AI, as you know, is coming into every single vehicle. The digital chassis that we build essentially allows an automaker to be able to modernize all of their vehicles across the board, from connectivity to the in-cabin experience to the driving experience of a vehicle. And this partnership with Antonio and Ned at Stellantis is a one of a kind. This essentially means we get to deploy, starting in model year 28, across all of their platforms, from Chryslers to Fiats to Dodge to the Peugeot brands, the Citroen brands, across every global footprint the Stellantis vehicles are deployed in, which is really every market outside of China, our entire fleet of products. This is a new change in the way Stellantis is developing their vehicles. It's one single architecture that gets homogenized so that you can move fast. You can become a software company, working with partners across the board to be able to bring self-driving capability, AI into every single cabin, and of course, connected vehicles. And we've been building this for really the entire industry over the last many years, and this is what we're going to do with Stellantis.
So if somebody buys a Stellantis after that model year, any vehicle across Stellantis' portfolio, as you mentioned, after that model year, will Snapdragon technology, this technology that you are talking about right now, be included in that vehicle?
That's right. And we are already a supplier to them, and this is now going to happen across ADAS, cockpit, and telematics.
So what does that mean for the driver experience?
You are starting to now see AI essentially come to the fore, especially for platforms like a car, which is a physical platform. It's your daily driver. It's something that you spend a lot of time in. And bringing AI into the in-car cabin experience essentially allows your personal space to be completely transformed. We've been preparing for this with the entire ecosystem. We've been working with this with companies like Google, with, of course, our automotive suppliers and partners. And Snapdragon cockpits are now AI ready. That means the experience that you will have in your in-car cabin experience will be no different than what you're starting to see on your smartphone. You can have a conversational experience with your car. It shops for you. It sets up your appointments. It entertains you. That experience in your car changes the entire way that consumers will engage with the vehicle. And then that same thing extends over to the driving experience. So as you're starting to see technology like FSD get deployed very broadly, this is also something that's part of the partnership that we've built with Stellantis, where we will power their self-driving stacks along with our silicon. And this essentially is a brand new type of product that starts to get deployed starting 28.
Nakul, it's an expansion. So you guys were already involved, right? In terms of not only kind of the AI or experience, that sounds like it's taking it to another level, but you were already involved in kind of the mechanics, if you will, or the inner workings with Stellantis. Is that correct?
We've been working with both Fiat Chrysler and Peugeot for a number of years.
Yeah.
I think this big shift is really as the technology transforms with AI becoming such a central part of the transformation of the car, this allows us to be able to help Stellantis move into this new architecture. And to do this across the board, as you know, the car industry is complex, a lot of different architectures. This is going to be a one-of-a-kind change because this is one common harmonized architecture across their entire global fleet of vehicles. So any change that is made brings that experience to every tier of vehicle deployed across any part of the world. And that is what makes this partnership very unique.
Is it exclusive? I know it's an expansion of the partnership. Exclusive, or are there other companies, AI or tech, that are doing similar parts?
This is a partnership between Stellantis and Qualcomm on all of the silicon and all of the self-driving software capability, and of course, all the connectivity that we are building. So it is something that we are building. We are the ones that are their dedicated supplier. for this next generation.
Why expand it and why now? And talk to us about the financial opportunity for what it means for Qualcomm.
For us, we've been growing our business in automotive actually by looking at the car architecture and thinking about it in the context of what is the digital product mean for a car. And to do that, you really have to be able to envision what type of technologies a car is going to deploy. AI has now become very central, both for driving, but now also in-car cabin experiences. You have to focus on every tier of vehicle that you have to supply to. You have to focus on the global nature of this business in that this is 90 million cars produced all over the world. Automakers are designing for a software product. We are growing our business. We've been growing at about 25% plus over the last many years. And we really see automotive as this definition of what a physical AI product looks like. And so far, it's really been going great. We are super happy with the way that the business is growing. We're going to share more at the Investor Day that we have coming up in June. We will talk a lot about what we are doing in automotive and of course, other areas.
Well, you've done a lot in automotive for a lot of years with a lot of different partners, of course, apart from just Stellantis. You're working with Chinese EV makers as well, Toyota, Honda, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, among others. Since you have such a good view on what you are calling an embodiment of physical AI, what's a realistic time frame for you to tell us that we as drivers will be removed completely from the equation when it comes to this technology?
I would say that the driver completely removed is probably much farther out because this is at the end of the day a safety product. But I think that the car essentially taking over for a number of scenarios where the driver is involved but perhaps not deeply engaged. That is upon us now. And maybe let me describe it like this. I think the rate at which AI is accelerating, even I would say in the last 12 months, the capabilities of the models, what they can do, both for conversational AI, the human-facing AI, but then also the machine and the physical AI. The car is probably one of these products, one of these parts of our life that is so central to where you spend time, your personal time, your time with family. It is a global product. You will start to see, I would say, in the next 2 years, AI entering the digital cabin and cars becoming much more intelligent in terms of the way that they are driven. This will drastically accelerate because all of the other pieces are in place. The silicon is in the SoCs, the silicon is in place. We've been building that for a number of years. We've standardized the architectures. We have made them such that they can be applied to really any tier of vehicle. We are obviously doing this globally. This is not specific to any region. So this acceleration is something that every automaker has been waiting for. And I think the Stellantis deal is a reflection of how quickly can automakers really leapfrog a legacy way of working, a legacy way of thinking, and just embrace what is bound to happen. And this deal for us was actually an indicator of how fast this is actually coming. I would expect by 28, you will start to see this get deployed across multiple parts in the Western world.
Yeah, we're going to stop soon calling it a car, I think. We're going to call it, I don't know, we're going to have to come up with some other name because if you think about the amount of technology that are in our vehicles today, it's just pretty astounding.
I mean, a lot of observers have said you have to think about Chinese EVs as smartphones with wheels.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we're there.
Yeah.
It's hard for me as a New Yorker who's doesn't have a new car, doesn't spend any time in cars to relate. But.
My car is in full self driving and it's old. It's more than 10 years old, but you can literally take your hands off the wheel and it drives itself. Like the systems have been.
Are you sure?
It tells me to put my hands back on it after about 40 seconds, but it is pretty amazing. Nakul, what we're seeing. And what I'm wondering about in terms of, I was just looking at the FA page on the Bloomberg. You guys are, at least the forecast that we have, I guess, from the street and guidance, looking at over $42 billion in revenue for you folks this year when you wrap up the fiscal. But I'm just thinking, I think you guys shared some numbers that in the second quarter of this year, you guys clocked $1.33 billion in automotive segment revenue. How much more could it be as a result of deals like that this becomes maybe a bigger part of your top line? And just forgive me about 45 seconds here.
I think it's a great question. Look, I think we've been preparing for the way that this business is growing. I think this deal that you saw is an indication of the market saying, hey, we are now ready to really scale up. I would say that the car becoming a digital product, both on the self-driving side and the cabin, is going to happen across the board. And every automaker is now essentially waiting to figure out how do they accelerate that. We've been growing 25%. I think we see similar trajectories continuing, certainly in the near future.